Hare Krishna, and welcome to this video on the Bhagavad-gita, chapter 1, verse 1. We have part 2 here of the main points by the Acharyas, and we are going to start with Madhva. This works here, yes. Okay, and what does Madhva has to say about verse 2? He doesn't have to say, well, he doesn't say anything really, because his comments don't really begin until chapter 2. So we have a very empty spot here. So we'll just simply go on to Śrīdhara, and we'll see what he says. Okay, so Shridhara does have a comment on this particular verse, but it is quite short. One point that Shridhara makes is a syntax-related point connected to the word sanjaya, a vocative, which is the last word of verse 1. In order to show that the standardized word order of this verse, if it had been prose, would have been one in which the vocative is first, not last, in the sentence, he starts his comment with the vocative bho sanjaya. So where some other commentators would have used the expression he sanjaya to clarify the vocative and its standardized syntactical position being in the beginning of the sentence, Shridhara here instead uses bho sanjaya. But it's the same idea. A second thing that Shridhara is talking about is mamakaha, the adjective, which means mine or my ones. And so in his commentary he presents the idea that mamakaha is equivalent to matputra, that is, my sons. So it's not just my ones, but my sons. For my ones could be my dogs or my wives or my anything in plural. But Shridhara clarifies that the plural word is putraha. That it's about the sons, nothing else. And since Dhritarashtra is the speaker in this verse, my sons is equivalent to Dhritarashtra's own sons, and that includes Duryodhana. So these points are being made in the commentary to verse 1. But just like Ramanuja, Śrīdhara also has some interesting information in the introductory passage that is presented before verse 1. So let's look at that. And in that introduction, we learn from Śrīdhara that Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra, they are sitting in Hastinapura. So they are not at Kurukshetra. And we also learn that Sanjaya will narrate the events on the battlefield of Kurukshetra through his, or by the help of his divine sight, which is a yogic power that he previously received by the grace of Vyasa. So thus Sanjaya has some kind of inner clairvoyance or some kind of telescopic spiritual vision where he can see things just as they happen, even if they are very far away. So because of this power, he didn't need to wait for a live TV broadcast. He could see everything happening anyway. All right, now to Keśava Kāśmīrī. Let's see what he has to say. Yes, well, there are many points, and one of them is about the Gita and its narration. And so, even if Dhritarashtra here is having a conversation with Sanjaya, and that is going on, Kesava Kashmiri here reminds us that this conversation between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya is taking place within another conversation in the Mahabharata, namely the one between the sage Vaishampayana and Janamejaya, who is the great-grandson of Arjuna. So that's one point. And then we have another number two here, is that as a point about Sanjaya's yogic powers, just like Śrīdhara Swami, he also made a point like that. But Keśava Kāśmīrī, he points out that Vedavyas had given Sanjaya the power to see everything that happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Thus, Sanjaya could see, with his inner clairvoyant vision, whatever the Kaurava and Pandava armies were doing on the battlefield. A third point that Keśava Kāśmīrī is making is related to the word Kurukshetra. According to the Vedic literature, Kurukshetra is a holy place meant for performing sacrifice. And Keśava Kāśmīrī stresses that this is well known and recorded, and that this has been the case for a very long time. So because of this, Keśava Kāśmīrī says, there's no need to grieve for those souls who depart when at Kurukshetra. And the implication here seems to be that there's no need to feel sorry for any of those soldiers who die on the battlefield. All of them die a glorious death, using their bodies as some kind of sacrifice to the gods. So that is the idea. A fourth point by Keśava Kāśmīrī is about Dhritarashtra's mind. Actually, Keśava Kāśmīrī mentions many things that may have occupied the mind of Dhritarashtra, but the two things most intimately connected to his choice of the words Dharma Kshetra and Kurukshetra have to do with the potential outcome of the situation, and perhaps not leading to war. So the two questions that Dhritarashtra may have thought, according to Keśava Kāśmīrī, are, number one, will Dhritarashtra's sons give back the kingdom to the Pandavas, presumably because of being influenced by the virtuous vibes at Kurukshetra? So that's one question. And the other question is, will the Pandavas become even more powerful in their righteousness because of the holy place, and then give up their desire to regain the kingdom. And that's number 2 then. All right, so let's move on to Madhusudana-Sarasvati and his ideas on verse 1 here. Let's see. We have the significance of Kurukshetra here. And in his commentary, Madhusudana quotes the Jabala Upanishad. And then the quote is, Brihaspati said to Yajnavalkya, that which is known as Kurukshetra is a place of sacrifices to the gods by people of divine disposition, and it is an abode of Brahman to all creatures. End quote. And Madhusudana also quotes the Shatapattu Shruti Brahmana, saying, Kurukshetra is indeed a place of sacrifices to the gods. End quote. So the idea is that Kurukshetra was a place well known for its sacrificial function to the gods. A second point that Madhusudana makes is in regard to the word Mamakaha, which both Abhinavagupta and Śrīdhara Swami already commented on. Madhusudana's idea here is simply that the word mine is not applied of the Pandavas, but only points to Dhritarashtra's own party. And therefore, it indicates Dhritarashtra's hostility towards the Pandavas. And it is this hostility that Dhritarashtra wants to display by not simply asking, what did my sons do? But instead, he's asking, what did my sons and the Pandavas do? So this is some idea. And the third point, and last point, I'm going to talk about in regard to Madhusudana is about Dhritarashtra's anxiety. And Kesava Kāśmīrī has already made a similar point about Dhritarashtra's mind. So this point is also about the questions, the questions that are posed by Dhritarashtra in his mind, and about the underlying anxiety that is triggering those questions. So the questions, according to Madhusudana, are, will the virtuous Pandavas not fight and hand over the kingdom to my own sons? Or, alternatively, will my own sons hand over the kingdom to the Pandavas due to the influence of the sacred place of the battlefield? So this is the end of part 2, and we will continue with the last part, where we will take all the Acharyas up, including Prabhupada. So thank you very much, and Hare Krishna.